Never Stop Learning, week 193. We're going to take a quick look at the blend tool options and a couple of keyboard shortcuts in Adobe Illustrator CC 2014. Alright, so the way the blend tool works is you could get a couple of shapes and colors and actually blend them together, and Adobe Illustrator is going to take care of the specified steps in between. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to hit the M key on my keyboard to activate the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw something out over here, just a basic shape, something like that. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to switch up the appearance a little bit, just get rid of that stroke, make sure I got a black fill. Alright, great. Now I want to make a copy of this guy, so I'm going to Option, click and drag over here. And let's just reduce the size of this guy a little bit. And I want to change the color, so over here in my color panel, I'm going to click on this little magenta area, and there you go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to blend this large square down to this smaller square, and it's going to be changing from black to magenta. Alright, so let's select both of these guys right in here. Now the keyboard shortcut to create a blend is going to be Command Option B. Alright, so automatically it's taking care of this as a smooth color right in here. You see we're getting this good gradient effect going on here from black to magenta, and it's changing it from this large square down to the small square. Now if I select these guys, you still see these two shapes and a bunch of shapes in the middle to create that blend. Alright, if I hit Command Y to go into outline mode, you see it's actually just two shapes and everything in the middle is just an appearance. Alright, you'd have to expand it to get every single one of those squares. Alright, Command Y is going to bring me back into preview mode. Now, we have some options associated with this, so I'm going to hit the W key, and that's going to activate the blend tool over here in the tool panel, in the tools panel. When I double click on it, it's going to bring up the blend options, and right over here I could click on preview so I could see what I'm actually doing. Alright, for spacing, it automatically started off with smooth color, but if you click on this little drop down menu, you can switch it over to specified steps. Alright, right now I have specified steps of 254, but if I back off on this, now you see that I'm starting to reduce the amount of squares in here. Alright, so if I bring it down to one specified step, that means we just have one right in here. So if you guys are into motion graphics or anything like that, think of this as kind of keyframing. We have these two objects right in here, and Adobe Illustrator is going to take care of the rest of the steps in between. Alright, so here we go. I'm adding a couple more steps in there. Now we have orientation right in here. I'm going to be working with align to page for most of this. At the end, I'll show you what this other feature is about right over here. Okay, we also have in the drop down menu over here specified distance. I'm going to turn this guy on. Now it's showing 4 pixels right in here. So as I increase this value, you see we have less and less squares. Alright, so at a certain point you're going to reach the max. So let me bring this over here to about 40 pixels. Alright, now the distance right here that it's talking about, 40 pixel distance, is actually between one shape and the other. Like, so the center of this shape and the center of another is going to be 40 pixels. Alright, now I'm going to bring this back over to specified steps. I'll leave it at 4 for now. Click OK to accept that. Now we have this blend set up right over here. And remember, you could always move these guys around. Now in the appearance panel, it's showing a blend right here, and we have some contents in there. Now if I just want to target one of these guys, I'm going to use the direct selection tool, and when I move it, you see my blend's going to go along with it. Alright, so I'm going to hit the V key, just select this guy again. Now I want to show you what's going on with this blend. We're blending this shape to this shape over here, so we could make an edit to this one, and all of these steps are going to change along with it. So just to speed things up, I'm going to use a plugin by Astute Graphics. It's from Vector Scribe. I'm going to be using dynamic shapes. Alright, I'm going to use this tool to recognize this shape and just switch it over to a basic star right over here. Alright, cool. So we got a square that is being blended over here to this star in this section over here. Now, if I make some changes to this guy, you see it's going to be updated over here. Now I have a large star over here. I could recognize this shape, switch it over to something else, maybe another star, but then we could change the tips of this guy right in here. So now it's starting to look more like a gear or something like that. Alright, so that's just so you guys can get the idea that it's going to be blending this shape to this other shape, and it's also blending the colors for us. So let's take a look at a more practical use for this. Let me draw something out. I'm going to hit the L key on my keyboard to activate the ellipse tool. All right, I'm going to click and drag Shift Option. Now with the A key, I'm just going to drag this guy up. There we go. V key, and I'm just going to make this guy a little bit skinnier. All right, Option, click and drag to make a copy of it over here. And I'm going to make a small version of that guy right down here. All right, we could even do a little bit of a rotation just to mix things up a little bit. All right, I'm going to select both these objects. Remember, Command Option B is going to take care of that blend for us. All right, and we also have a little spine going along here. Well, I want to make a change to this guy. I'm going to grab my Path Scribe tool, which is part of Vector Scribe. I'm going to click and drag, so that's a plugin. It's not part of Adobe Illustrator. All right, so I'm making a change right in here, and you see it's updating in real time. So this is something that I would use as maybe like a drawing function in here. All right, so I want to go back into the blend options. So I'm going to hit the W key on my keyboard, and then I'm going to hit return. That's going to give me the blend options. Preview so I can see my changes. Now the reason I'm coming in here is I want to play around with the orientation. All right, so this whole time we've been using it as align to page. This time I want to switch over to align to path. When I click on it, take a look at that. Now it's using the curve information to figure out how it should orient these little shapes right here. So I'm going to click OK to accept that because I want to make some changes in here. So I'm going to grab this handle, spin it around this way. There you go. So now you see these guys are really twisting around. I'll bring it back in. All right. Now I'm going to click and drag this way. If I bring it downwards, you see it's starting to straighten out these pieces in here. So if I deselect, you can see I'm already starting to make like some kind of cool mohawk or something like that. If I go back into the options right in here and then start entering a higher value, you see we have more hair for that mohawk, or all of a sudden it could be like an eyebrow or something like that, or maybe a rooster's comb. All right, so think of this as a drawing tool as well. You could also do some really cool effects with shading and perspective when you're working with the blend tool. And there you have it, folks. That's the blend tool options and a couple of keyboard shortcuts in Adobe Illustrator CC 2014.